Keep that applause going for Lisa Dickey. Lisa Dickey. One more time for Lisa. Come on.
So, when I was 22, I had a liberal arts degree, no marketable skills, almost no money, and no idea in the world how to find a job. So, naturally, I moved to Japan. I knew a girl from college, and she had been living there for a year and teaching English, and she was like, oh my God, it's so great. All they want is just some native speaker to come and teach them, and you can get a job so easily, and they pay so much money. And I was like, great, this is perfect. This solves all of my problems. I had $400 in the bank, which was obviously plenty to get there and, get my feet on the ground. But I didn't have enough to get to Japan, and so I called my parents, and I said, hey, I need to borrow $500 for a one-way ticket to Japan. And interestingly, bafflingly, my parents didn't think this was a very good idea. And my dad in particular was like, you're going to go all the way there with a one-way ticket and you don't have a job already? And I said, listen, you don't get it. Like, this is, like, people do this. Like, there's jobs there, trust me. I know what I'm doing. So he said, all right, I'll lend you this money, but I think you're making a very big mistake. And of course, all I heard was, I'm going to lend you this money. So I was like, yes. So he lends me the money, and I buy the ticket, and I pack a suitcase and my guitar, and I fly to Japan. And this nice college friend offers to put me up for a couple of days, and so I stay with her, and she gives me a newspaper that has job listings. And so I start calling around, and that's when I discover that Japanese people apparently don't like hiring in the last quarter of the year. So everybody's saying, you sound great, come back in January, right? But it's November, mid-November, and I have $400. And so January is 6 weeks away, and I'm not that great at math, but I know that this is trouble, right? So I had to leave my friend Natalie's, and I had to find a place to live. Fortunately, somehow I found a place. It was super cheap. I was basically renting a futon on the second floor of a school, little tiny school, and it was $10 a night. Huge bargain, partly because the only bathroom in the building, you had to go through the classroom, and so I'd have to be like, hey guys, I'm going to go to the toilet. And, I had to go to the bathhouse down the street, which is the easiest way to feel like the giantest, whitest Yeti in the world, is to shower with little, tiny, elderly Japanese women. So anyway, it was all tremendously uncomfortable, and I'm trying so hard to save money, and I'm not, nobody will hire me. They're all like, come back in January, and I'm saying, I'll be dead by January. This is really can't we meet somewhere and so finally, I think, well, I've got to save money somehow, and so I think I should probably stop eating. And so I'm eating like one bowl of noodles a day, trying to be like, I've got to save money. But finally, I come to the realization that, oh my God, I'm so screwed right now. I've done it. I'm so stupid. I'm going to have to call my dad, collect from Japan, and say, you were right, I was wrong, I'm an idiot, and can I borrow money for another one-way ticket back home so I can come home and be unemployed and in debt to you and still have no idea what to do with my life. So this was a very, very low point of misery for me as a 22-year-old. And I thought, I can't make that call. I just can't do it. And so I called this Japanese girl that I had met randomly, and she seemed nice, and so I called her and I said, listen, I have a guitar, and I can sing. So can you find me a coffee shop or something, and I'll sing and pass the hat? And she said, we don't really do that in Japan, but let me see what I can do. And so 2 days later, she calls me and she says, I got you an audition. 7 p.m. tomorrow, here's the address. I have no idea where I'm going, but I go to this address 7 p.m. the next night, and it's like this little house, and out front it says, Brasserie Ichimonji. And I go up to the front door, and there's this plaque, and it says, Brasserie Ichimonji, fine French cuisine and American singers with wine. I'm like, I can do that. So I go in, and I hear the music, and I go into the dining room, and I see this woman, and she's dressed in a prom gown, and she's got a little keyboard in front of her, and she's singing a medley of John Denver songs. And then Mr. Ichimonji's there, and he's like, hey, come on over, have a seat. And he's Japanese, but he speaks English really well. And he says to me, normally I go through a booking agent in San Francisco, but the girl who was supposed to be here next week is sick, so she can't make it. So why don't you get up and play me a tune? So I go up front, I take my guitar out, and I play, because this is 1989 and I'm a chick with a guitar, I play a 10,000 Maniacs song, right? And he's kind of frowning, like that's not his jam. And so he calls out to me, he says, do you know any PPM? And I'm like, oh, this is a test. And I have to pass this test. I must pass this test to survive. And I think, and then I go, Peter, Paul, and Mary? And he says, yeah, I love them. And so thank God I know a Peter, Paul, and Mary song. And I play Leaving on a Jet Plane. And he calls out, even before I'm done, you're hired. And so the gig was, I would play 6 nights a week, 6 25-minute sets a night. And in exchange for that, I got a free 2-bedroom condo, which is like a palace in Japan, dinner every night, all the drinks the customers wanted to buy me, and $100 a night, which he delivered to me in a sealed envelope every other week, stuffed with hundreds. So I never did find a teaching job in Japan, but I did that job for 5 months. And then when I got home, the sweetest moment was being able to pay my dad back by peeling off these crisp $100 bills. Like, thank you, Dad, so much, in the words of PPM, for helping me to leave on that jet plane. Thank you.